So all of her emotions were just sitting in there and she wasn't dealing with it. She had to deal with life, right? Her husband was in the facility. She was the breadwinner. So during this session was about an hour and all of these emotions I was being shown the origin, cause, and effect of this malignancy. So through all of that, the mom was crying, the daughter was crying, I was crying because it was so deep and moving to release all of this grief. I have goosebumps just talking about it. At the end of the session, the guide said, be slow to have any medical procedures done. So, so she waited 2 months and she did schedule an appointment with the doctor to have it removed. And when they opened her up and took it out, the tumor had shrunk by 50%. Had she not had the operation, that tumor would have disappeared. The guide said, be slow to have a medical procedure done. Had she waited, who knows, right?
Mm.
That was the biggest miracle that I've ever experienced in my own work.
Welcome to this episode of the Awakening Entrepreneur podcast. Today we've got the amazing Debrah Goetz with us. And Deborah, she's a medical intuitive, she's a quantum healer. She's been doing this for over 30 years. She's healed worked with thousands of people around the world with decades of experience in energy healing, teaching, mind-body transformation. She's guiding students on everyday people from all walks of life. Anyone can learn about intuition and how to heal using the intuition as well. So, Deborah is known for her warmth, her accuracy in transforming teachings. She channels different guides to help her in this process as well. And so today we're gonna like talk to Deb to see what's happening around the world and just enjoy our conversation. Welcome, Deb.
Thank you so much, Gary. It's always a pleasure to talk with you and to share with humanity.
Yeah,
Thanks.
amazing. So then we're gonna jump right into it. What do you sense is happening in the collective right now? Is that do you see like an energy shifting like this year in 2025?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's been growing and like culminating over the past few years for sure. What we're seeing is the old heavy patriarchal ways are being like diminished to make way for the new lighter ways of operating in the higher dimensions. For instance, we see this in like shifts in government, global disasters, with all the light coming into the planet. The Schumann resonance has been spiking. Um, on personal levels, we may be called to move cross country or even cross continent. So there's a lot of things going on in both the collective and with all of us individually. And again, it's just to bring in more light to the planet.
Uh, and what does that mean by like from both a personal level and from a macro level by bringing more light, does more dark comes out or like what does that mean?
The way that I see it, and the guides have shown it to be as well, first of all, we have many, many helpers on the other side of the veil. We have galactics coming in. What do I mean by galactics? The Arcturians, Pleiadians, Andromedans, ascended masters, like the one up behind me, the Saint Germain, Jesus, all of these wonderful ascended masters are coming in to help right now. Why? Because there's so much more light coming into the planet because it's time. We're in the age of Aquarius, coming out of the Piscean age, and that means a massive shift from what I was talking about before, patriarchal ways moving into a softer, lighter, higher way of existing. And so with all of that light coming down into the planet, what happens when you shine a flashlight in a dark alley? Everything's going to show up. Oh, there's the junk, there's the tin can, there's the things that we no longer need. So this light coming into the planet, we feel it globally and we feel it individually. And so that's going to cause a lot of our old beliefs, programming, and untruths, stories we've told ourselves, and our traumas from past lives, current life. It's going to shine a light on all of that. And so now is when we are healing globally and healing on a very, very personal level as well. And that's going to bring up a myriad of things like ascension symptoms. And some people have very, very strong awakenings, but yeah, it's quite an expansive list of things that we'll see collectively and individually as a
Wow.
result.
So essentially, if you go through challenges, health challenges, like we see wars going on externally as well, if we're having fights with our loved ones, like this could all be part of the ascension process.
It's definitely part of it.
Mm,
Definitely part of it. And speaking of relationships, we may I know many, many people whose friendships have changed. The old ones are just kind of fading off, and we're meeting new friends. There could be breakups, divorce, a lot of conflict, and we see that in government. We see that with the wars still going on the planet. So, but it's all part of that. Here's the light. Let's shine it on everything so we can make some changes and maybe someday have peace on earth.
yeah. That like I see like online there's certain people talk about like 2012 was like a big year, like basically one cycle was ending and like it started a new shift in 2012, and some people talk about the year 2020, and obviously we had the COVID as well, and and some people like even ye mark the dates at 2027. I don't I have a I don't like take these like as religion and mark down the dates and this is the Aquarius coming or whatever the big shift is coming. Um, s- what you're describing, the current shift, like are there certain specific like years or timeline? Obviously, time is partly an illusion as well. But is there like a time that we go by, like in terms of like what like how does this all fit in?
See, I don't get that information from my guidance system, so I don't do years or, it's going to happen here, here, and here. I don't make predictions. And I guess the most important thing for all of us when we hear these types of predictions is to take everything in stride and not get our undies in a bundle, as as they say, because nothing is, when we think of nature and how the divine works, how God, the universe works, everything goes with an ebb and flow, everything works in cycles. And there's not going to be some great big thing where the world is ending. And I think it's really important for all of us to keep that type of mindset, to take things in stride rather than getting all hyped and worried about it. Yes, things may have been predicted like COVID, but we're over it, or for the most part, we're over it, and as long as we all keep positive attitudes through it all and knowing that we're protected, guided, guarded, loved, and cherished, everything can be a whole lot easier than how we viewed things in the past. That makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So Deb, like if someone is on a healing path right now and they're going through some of these big shifts, and I'm just imagining it wouldn't be easy for a lot of people going through these shifts. How should they approach it?
Well, I think first of all, community is extremely important, to not feel like you're alone, to find a group of like-minded people who can make you feel, oh, so it's not just me. Okay. And also to be kind to yourself. There's many, many self-healing techniques that we can employ to ease our emotions that come up so strongly sometimes. And to know that none of this is permanent. It's all going to pass. But again, community, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah,
I feel,
I'll get you to share like what those some of those practices are, or where they can find some of those resources at the end of this podcast. But um, I remember like when I was researching for this interview, like I went through one of your meditation, and it was so simple, but yet it felt like it was an extremely powerful technique that I could just give whatever challenges I have to the divine and the universe. They will look after everything, and I could just continue knowing that like almost like I've got a cosmic parents that what, like Gary, whatever you don't want to deal with, like let's just give it to us. We'll take care of it for
see?
you. So yeah, thank you for sharing those meditations.
You're welcome. And what you just said takes a lot of trust, though, doesn't it? To know, really know that you have cosmic parents, right? There are many of us, many clients, for instance, of mine that don't have never been brought up in that mindset that they're not alone. And it's really tough to break that open and know that there are angels and guides around us that we can certainly give things to and
Yeah.
and to give up the control.
Well, like, yeah, you just reminded me of my own journey. And I'm just gonna take the listener on a bit of a segue based on what you just shared. I almost take it granted, like what you said, like to give up control. Like I don't even have a second thought about it. But it didn't come like naturally. It wasn't there like 5, 6 years ago before my awakening. And very at the beginning, what you give up control or what you surrender to is just like little things. Like, hey, if I don't go to the shops today, like I got a calling not to go to the shops, no big deal, right? And so you test something small and you go, wow, by not going to the shops, let's just say if you wanted to get bread and then end up like a friend of yours just bring a loaf of bread around. It's like, wow, like
See?
that's cool. So you start with something small and then you see a little glimpse of the divine showing up and you start to appreciate, wow. And over time, by doing more of these little experiments, oh, I'm driving along the road. Let me think of the number like 57 to see how long before it will show up. And you see it from one of the street signs or a house number. Wow, that only took like a minute 37 seconds. Wow. So you play these tests and the more that it show up, the more that your confidence and your self-belief that wow, there's something more than myself out there. I remember like exactly like 5, 6 years ago, I was sitting there and like on my knees, like there was a like I was having a big crisis, life crisis, and it was extremely difficult to navigate. And it was the first time of watching a YouTube, and it says that we all got angels and guides like guiding us, so you can just ask it for help. And again, like I was on my knees, I have no like all the things that I could do to hustle, my ego self can do to hustle and strategize my way out. I've tried all that, and none of that worked or were effective. And so the only choice I had was to, well, being Asian, I didn't want to pay and it didn't cost money. So it's like, well, you can ask it for help and bang, like at 4:30 in the morning, like I get guidance. And 4:30, April 30th happened to be my birthday. And I wake up and then with two people on my that popped up, two people that I don't normally talk to. And um one of them, like the one in Australia, I ended up getting in contact first. And he said, yeah, Gary, we can get on. Actually, I messaged, do you know anything about like Kundalini awakening? And I never, like at that time, I don't like, it's the first time I pretty much heard of the word awakening. And I have no awareness of it. And I, um, I reached out to that person. Do you know anything about like Kundalini awakening? I messaged like I asked the angels and guides for help, and your name came up. And again, like this is all new to me. Like I've never asked angels and guides for help, and so to let him know that this is what I went through, he just messaged, "Yeah, sure, Gary, we can set up a call." And so before the call, I looked up his website. I wonder what this guy does. Like I know of him, but I don't know what he does. And he guides entrepreneur through the awakening journey. So what, like 5,000 people? Like I had no idea. And so yeah, thank you for pointing that out for me, Deb, because this is the journey that we all come through. That for whatever reason, you may be like hearing from Deb for the first time or seeing this channel for the first time, but that it seems like random YouTube algorithm that's showing this to you. I don't believe in any of that. And take it for what it's worth. Like you may say, you know what, like it's random. I don't need to listen to this. But if it somehow like is tingling your heartstrings and you're thinking, wow, there's something to it, like something that Deb or the energy of Deb, it resonates. Like maybe like you guys are meant to connect. Maybe the divine is showing you, it's been guiding you all along already.
Absolutely. You said that all so beautifully and gave wonderful examples. The synchronicities and not coincidences, the true synchronicities of the universe bringing to us that which we need and want at the moment. And it's beautiful. And that's That's the golden piece and part of the awakening process. There's a lot of it that's difficult, the healing and things like that that we talked about earlier, and healing our traumas and deep emotional wounds. But these are the beautiful pieces and parts of it when we can experience these synchronicities.
Yeah, and a lot of the times that our shadow end up being our gift when the light is shined onto them. I think about like even the Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's got his health issue, his spine wasn't able to walk or whatever, and because he's able to heal himself, he's guiding so many people. And same with you. Like I know that people come to you for healing of all different type of conditions, and some of them afterwards they're getting called to become the healers because they've gone through that journey themselves. So can you tell me like what do you see, like what's your experience with seeing people that needed healing, the light workers, the soul healers that's being activated right now?
Well, I don't know really about the activation, Gary, but I can tell you my own story,
Mm,
how I was quote unquote activated. Well, I just always had this interest in healing. Years ago, they used to have these faith healers on TV, and
yeah.
I used to watch them all and think, how do they do that? How do they, people, they'd barely touch when people would fall over. And it's like, I don't know if that's real or not, but I was so interested in healing. And I was reading ancient texts about the masters and how they would heal others. And they said that we could do what they did. And it's like, oh, is that true? And if that's true, I want it. So bring it. I want to love people like you do, and I want to heal people like you do. So for me, it was a series of years of getting these nudges and inclinations and extreme interest in it, and I couldn't get enough of it. And so I kept asking and asking and asking, and that was my type of activation, I guess you could say. Were you looking more for like,
Yeah, like I wanted to know, like you see people um like in my hallucination, like I don't know, but I'm thinking that um for people that's going through especially health, maybe even emotional challenges right now, the part of the divine gift is for them to heal themselves or learn to heal themselves, so that they can heal other people at the same time.
so like, what are they learning through?
Do you see a pattern of people that's coming through the healing process for themselves, and once they've healed it, they've gone on um, to started to make it either a positive impact or actually becoming a healer themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there are many. Everyone that I've trained in the past has a story similar. They've either come out of the medical profession where they've been nurses, but many, many, many have had the traumatic backgrounds in abuse and abandonment, loss, um, of many, many types. And so well, one thing, and I've experienced much of that myself, and one thing the guides have told me is let the pain that you're feeling be the stone that sharpens the sword of compassion in your heart. And when people hear that, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then, yes, they come into my healing work, or they can take another path
Do you
to healing as well.
do you see a commonality or between the people that's being called to do healing work?
Mostly, they're very empathic.
Mm,
They're very good listeners. They're very compassionate people because of what they've been through, yes. There are some who have life-threatening illnesses, um, because they know that they're going to heal themselves by healing other people.
mm,
It's beautiful.
yeah, that's I see that through the work that you do, like there's a there's more and more people that I see around that's being called to heal themselves, and in the journey of healing themselves start to heal other people as well. This wave that's coming, do you see that there's uptick in interest, people wanting to do this work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many people are starting to get that nudge. Many of us know that we're being called to our mastery, and in that is some timidity. Those who come into my courses even feel like, well, who am I to do this? There's a low self-esteem, but that's only because we haven't been modeled it.
Yeah.
But I'm here to model it, and that's what we need is way showers who can be trained. Because years ago, the guys showed me a lineup, like an army of light workers.
Yeah.
And in that lineup, there were so many missing pieces, too many missing spots. And they said it's time to train healers because so many more are needed to go out into the world and help humanity. And so, again, the common thread through those light workers being called is just it comes from within. It's that inner knowing and the compassion that they feel growing within them, that they've awakened up and they know that there's something different, there's something new stirring within, and they know that it's time to birth that within themselves. But even more than that, what's underlying all of that is that it's a time for mastery. We're all being called to mastery. So what does that mean? It's to stand up and take ownership of our divinity, knowing that we're not here alone. And it's a balancing, I guess you might say, of the male and female energies. We don't have to work hard at doing that either. Some people say, well, go get your male and female energies balanced. It's happening naturally within all of us and within our bodies. There are change, even our physicality is changing from carbon-based to crystalline. So that's a whole nother talk show about ascension symptoms and things like that. But it's happening, we're holistic beings, so it's happening on a physical level, an emotional level, spiritual level. Okay. And so, again, underneath that call and that nudging is that inner knowing that we're called to mastery. And becoming a healer is a huge piece and part of that, to own it and say, you know what, I feel the nudge, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's a decision.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I know that you have guides around you that you channel or you talk to help with the healing process. Is that what you teach your students on how to activate their intuition and utilizing the team that can support them, like the guides?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a whole module on who I work with, and I introduce them to many of these ascended beings and some galactics, of course. Some of the 24 proprietary techniques that I have were given to me by the Galactic Council of Light, right? But anyway, in the program, yes, there's a whole module on these are the masters that we work with. And even more so than that is a golden angel, that they get an anointing of the golden angel. You want to hear that story
Yeah.
of what I'm talking about? Okay. So I was talking about doing energy healing, and then I knew I wasn't mature enough to make a living at it back then in the early 2000s. And so I did my interior design career, but it was back in, oh, 2010, 2011, I started getting this stronger and stronger nudging to do your work. And the interest in medical intuition and other types of healing was being birthed again within me. And so I said, okay, you said that I can do what you do. Bring it. I want to love people like you do. I want to heal people like you do. And it wasn't until 2014 that I was home alone one night. And by the way, this stuff didn't just happen to me. I was working with shamans. I was, doing getting I had my own healers, right? Knowing that I wanted to heal as much as I could of my own before I went into healing work. And by the way, it's an ongoing process with all of us, okay? So I was home alone one night in 2014, and I just felt this impulse to pray for a friend who was out of town. So I thought, okay, I pray for their safe trip home and whatever. And all of a sudden, in my mind's eye, I saw three vertebrae in the middle of their spine that were out of alignment and a bulging disc. So they were in California, I was in Illinois, and I'm seeing all this in my mind. And so I thought, because I knew a little bit about energy medicine, I thought I'll just start putting it back together. And over in the corner, a 10-foot golden angel appeared, and she slowly came over to me and embodied me. And together we finished fixing my friend's spine. And to this day, their spine is still perfectly healthy. And that was the beginning of my medical intuition career and practice. And so through the years, I would ask the golden angel, can we transfer your anointing, your mantle, your gift to other people? And I didn't get a yes. I didn't get a yes. And it was about 2 years in, so maybe 2017, 2018, I asked again. It's like, can we transfer your frequency? Because, by the way, in the Old Testament, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there were prophets who would do that. And this is where I got the idea from. And it's like, if I can help other people by anointing them with the golden angel, then that's really going to empower them to do even more, to do what I do and maybe even more, right? They'll get their own techniques and abilities. So when I finally got that yes from the golden angel, I started the program, the Medical Intuitive Mentoring Program. And now in the third or fourth module, all the students get the anointing of the golden angel to start their path.
Wow.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that you have feedback from your students that's graduated on the journey in healing others. It must be like quite warming to hear or quite powerful to hear some of the people that they've been able to help to heal as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And after they receive the anointing, that's in the very beginning of the 6-month program, they're telling me that they had such vivid dreams and they feel so connected and they're so alive and so awake, right? Yeah.
Mm.
And then we start practicing together. And even in our practice sessions, student to student, they're having some amazing results.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if there is if there's something that our listener can take from this shift that's being called to heal, what is one thing that they could like what would you suggest that they how do they get validation? Is this like right for me? Is this the right path for me to wanting to heal? Like how do they like because especially for someone that's not as in tune with communicating with the guides and can have actual conversation, what do you suggest for them to try to simmer or somehow cultivate or ask questions to get some feedback? Is this the right path for them?
You just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, because these are the things that we have been so used to ignoring when we get these inner nudges. So if somebody has this interest and they're even asking that question, the answer is in the question. Am I being called to do this? It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
yes. So what you do is you put one foot in front of the other. Practice on yourself, practice on a pet, your child, a partner, just feeling into the energy of another person, right? And then read books or watch my YouTube channel or, you know, just start trusting those inner messages that you're getting and investigate and move forward.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Of the people that you've worked with, are there any surprising or wow, like that surprise you even this condition can be healed or
Yes. The biggest surprise that I had occurred about 2 years ago. A friend of mine who lives in Colorado, her mother lived in Texas, and she was just diagnosed with a malignant tumor in her upper abdomen, in her colon, and just below the sternum, a couple inches, and it was a sizable tumor. And so I was on the phone with both of them. They called me and said, Deb, can we do a session with you? And so the daughter wanted to be on helping her mom, so all three of us were on a Zoom call, and we found some very, very deep wounds, very deep emotional scars. She had lost a son to cancer, at a very young age. And her husband was in a facility and had had dementia for 10 years. And all of these emotions were sitting and stirring in her gut. And it's not too uncommon to find a malignancy or digestive issues right there below the emotional brain of the body, which sits right there below our sternum. So all of her emotions were just sitting in there and she wasn't dealing with it and didn't know how to, didn't know. She had to deal with life, right? Her husband was in the facility, she was the breadwinner. So during this session was about an hour, and all of these emotions I was being shown what was the origin, cause, and effect of this malignancy. So through all of that, the mom was crying, the daughter was crying, I was crying because it was so deep and moving to release all of this grief. And I have goosebumps just talking about it. At the end of the session, the guide said, be slow to have any medical procedures done. So she had been already under a doctor's care, of course, otherwise she wouldn't have had this diagnosis. So she waited 2 months and she did schedule an appointment with the doctor to have it removed. And when they opened her up and took it out, the tumor had shrunk by 50%. Had she not had the operation, that tumor would have disappeared. The guide said, be slow to have a medical procedure done. Had she waited, who knows, right?
Mm.
That was the biggest miracle that I've ever experienced in my own work.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
profound.
Wow. Feeling very blessed just to hear that story and that these miracles can happen all the time. So my understanding is if someone have physical well the body have certain condition is causing them disease. It could be from a physical to emotional trigger, it could to um, spiritual, and so it could even be like karma and past lives and all that. Is that your understanding that when we like if someone have a cut on the hand, then they should like if it's on a physical level, then they should like go and heal it on the physical level. How should they? Is there? Do you teach about how do we n- navigate like, which part to heal?
Which part to heal?
Yeah, yeah, because if someone could have a cut on their hand, like do they try to use like
Oh, the emotionals behind it?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, usually when something like that happens, we ask, what happened right before? What were you thinking of when that happened?
uh,
Right? Like, on a very personal level, I have these sliding doors on my closet, and I was moving quickly, and I pinched this finger in the closet door as I was shutting it. And it's like, dog, what was I just thinking of? Because that really hurt. It's like I was just thinking of my ex-husband.
yeah.
Middle finger, that's relational, anyway.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, we can dig into the depths of something simple like that. Where it's really, really important though is when there is a deep, serious pain, illness, or disease, or someone has insomnia or constant headaches, then we look into there's multiple ways that we can look at it. Is it this lifetime, a past lifetime? We'll get the information. I work by getting knowing, an inner knowing, a nudge. I'll feel in my body where to go, and then I'll feel the emotion behind it. And the guides say 99.99% of the time, for any pain, illness, or disease, there is an emotional component. So even if it was from a past life, what was the emotion that caused it? Why was it carried through into this life? Oh, because it wasn't healed in that lifetime. If it's ancestral, same thing. I inherited this because I'm healing it for my ancestors and future generations. So this work is just beautiful and magical and profound.
Yeah, great. Um, Deb, I know that we didn't talk about this before the show, but I was thinking that one of the things I was curious about that drew me into your work initially was I was looking about like 3D, 4D, 5D, and wanted to get your thoughts on where we at and how do we get to like 5D. But another thing that I think it will be quite touching if we close up the podcast with you guiding um, the listener on a short meditation. Are you open to doing that?
Sure. Sure.
Cool.
And like something like pertaining to healing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your understanding like about the 3D, 4D, 5D? Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, sure. On a very basic level, first of all, 3D, the third dimension that we've been living in for eons of time, is when we are not awake. And then we wake up, and then there's a bridge. I call the fourth dimension like a bridge to carry us up into the fifth dimension. And the fifth dimension is when we're fully awake and we live lives of synchronicity and ease and grace, and our hearts are open, right? But sometimes that journey can feel very difficult and very long. But there are many things that we can do um, to bring it forward faster, and that is it's a decision. Every day we can, this is the way that was explained to me by the guides. We have, much like on our computer screen, we may have a lot of windows open at the top, and we see them like tabs. Our consciousness is the same way. Our past are all those open tabs, all those open windows. So we can make a decision. I'm going to close the windows down because I no longer need to learn from them. I am taking mastery over my life, and this is what I will and will not allow in my sphere of influence anymore, in my world. Okay. And it's not being cruel. This is a very soft, loving discipline with self. Again, it's a decision, right? And so when we have all the old windows shut down, the tabs closed, then what's left is we restart the computer and the new operating system can take over. And that is the fifth dimension. But again, it's making that decision and knowing that the fifth dimension isn't something that is it here yet? It's always here. The 22nd dimension, the 16th dimension, and ascended masters that I channel, they're always here. It's not something that we have to try for. Like I said, it's a very soft inner discipline. And how can you tell that you're there? Well, we're less competitive. We become more cooperative. Okay? Or we find that we are less judgmental and more accepting. Um, we have less pride and more humility and less attachment to things and more freedom. But one of my favorites is less resistance to what is and allowing the wisdom that's in our soul, the truth of us, live from there. So it's coming out of our head, coming down into the heart. And it's like I said, a discipline and a training, but it can be done, and it's really not that difficult. It's the decision, the intention. And then
Yeah,
every day when we wake up, make that intention again. Today I'm going to live from a higher place. Today I only want to think the thoughts of God.
yeah,
How beautiful is that?
beautiful. Um, yeah, beautiful. I think it's a great time now to segue into the meditation.
Okay. All right. So let's just see what comes through. I don't have anything planned, but this is if you're listening for the first time, this is all for you, and it's all about you. And the message that your soul wants you to hear today is that whatever you're going through, it's all going to be okay. In this light that you are, we see nothing but your innocence and your beauty and your purity. You've done nothing wrong. You're a being of light, a star, if you will, that was embodied in this human body of clay. And you're simply having a human experience. And in that, there is no right, wrong, good, bad. The way we see it, you're here simply having experience. And so let that be. Let yourself be in that. And in that, you will find a joy and a wisdom, and the path will be laid open, much like a yellow brick road laid before you. And if when you start to trust, putting one foot at a time on that yellow brick road, your path, will the way be made known. And the synchronicity that you've all been talking about here today will become your way of life. So again, dear ones, fear not. Fear not. We're just a breath away. So lean into our guidance. Lean here into the truth of you, your sovereignty. And when you need help, we're here. And so with that, again, we honor you for your choice to be in human form now at this time, on this planet at this time when things seem so difficult. But know that it's all on purpose and it all is as it should be. Otherwise, it would be different. All things are exactly as they should be. Otherwise, they would be different. So love yourself. Learn what you can from each and every experience. Love others. Forgive them. Let everything go. Release yourself into the freedom of this. You may call it newfound freedom. To us, it's always been here. Release yourself into the path, the yellow brick road, the fifth dimension. And our love is always here, always present, always with you. And so be it. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, that was more of a channeled message, wasn't it?
Yes, beautiful. So, are there any parting thoughts that you want to share with our listener?
I think that they just said it all. The number one thing is to trust. We haven't been taught to trust. So trust your nudges, trust yourself. And we call that intuition. And that is going to be the key to your mastery and taking you through life with the ease and the grace that you've been looking for. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Mhm.
So if people want to learn more about your work on whether it's to be part of your community or how to become a healer, where do they find more information? Or maybe even watch some of your YouTube videos?
Sure, sure. So the number one place to go for to learn more about me or any of my programs or courses, just simply go to debrahgoetz.com and you can put the spelling in the
In
in
the
the in
description.
the description. And my YouTube channel is Debrah Goetz, Medical Intuitive, and right now there's quite a few self-healing videos and other informational videos about moving from 3D to 5D as well.
Well, Deb, thank you for all the work that you do, and thank you for being on this podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone that you love, that someone you care about, someone that really need to hear this right now. So, thank you again, Deb, for your time, for being here.
Thank you for the gracious invitation. It's always a pleasure. I'm honored. Thank
Thank you.
you.